Let's go. Buenos dias. Buenos dias. Woo! That new model. Nice little banger this morning. 50 points. Right to our hourly low. And now we're chopping around. A little bit sus in here. That could have been a valid smiley to send us back up a little bit. Our major concern, if we're going to be looking at this, is this area here. Now, the major issue with risking off of this high is that it's weak. Just to jump right into it for those of you guys that that want to jump in and be like, where are we going? Are we going up or are we going down? This is nasty. That's nasty. Right? Nasty, nasty, nasty. Right? Now we flipped internally. We've got a little bit of failure coming in, so we're determining if we're going to sell off here in the next 10 minutes. Right? Very possible that we just take some liquidity into this breakaway and just continue on. That failure sent us up. Potential double top to send us back down. But ultimately, what I'm looking at is that there. All this is internal. All of that is internal. Right? 4 hours got a bit lower, but again, we're sort of chopping around in here. Be interesting to see if I got out of this way too soon. Not the reaction I'd want to see. So we'll see if we take London lows and that area that we were talking about. No skin in the game right now. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. So as you guys know, we've got a fun little giveaway that's happening later on. Fun little giveaway happening later on. DTF accounts from Elite Trader Funding. Good lads. Ooh, just stopped. Come on now. Could be a little bit of accumulation. This is 950 coming in. Let's make sure you guys are aware of that. Where are my guys at? Anybody grab that Freedom model this morning? Certainly wasn't A++, but it was valid. ES having a really rough time selling off beyond our 9 a.m. and Q relatively weak. Hey, Miz. Yes. Yes, it is longs. This is manipulation, in my opinion. Right? So what I was talking about was we failed here. If this was going to be a credible high and we were going to leave it, this should have closed underneath. Then you can trade back in and you've got failure. This to me traded down, double bottomed here, which sent us up, closing above this. So I'm treating this as a violent pullback back into this area of interest, potentially liquidating. But what we're essentially looking at is that this is going to fail this low, closing above it within the hour. And then we're just going to run. All right, ES hasn't taken it. We've got stacked liquidity on the upside. Right, for the same reason that yesterday we were saying that this high was going to get ran. We were actually talking about that on Monday, weren't we, lads? For the exact same reason, by the way. The exact same reason. Almost as if price is fractal. Right? So all this nastiness failed. And we said that the high was going to go. Right? Not rocket science. If this, then that. Exact same sort of thing happens here. And we're determining what's going on. Right? So here's 950. This is your 15-minute candle low here. So if we're going to sweep, that ideally would have just gone up and CSD. So we're going to run these lows. There they go. And ES kicking and screaming. NQ about to grab London. There it is. And now we dance. Now we dance. Major reversal point. Really good. Really, really good. Lift. ES following suit with a potential double bottom underneath the AM lows. Need a little bit more buying to come in here on NQ, or else we might chop around and have to take that low out as well. Really good sell pressure here, which I don't really like. There might need to be one more push down. I really love the location, but if it's not ready yet and we're early, then we might as well be wrong. Very heavy sell pressure. We'll see if they get squeezed or if it just dumps. If we trade above this high, then I'm break even at 78. If it trades through this candle, I'm probably going to take a loss as well. Very, very aggressive trading. Don't like that candle at all. Yeah, did not like that. Did not like that. I thought this was valid. Just way too much sell pressure. You can kind of tell that from how it's reacting. I love how this is reacting. NQ is just very, very, very heavy. We don't necessarily need to know why, but we do need to react accordingly. So we'll see what goes on here. ES is having none of this pullback. It's allowing NQ to do all the dirty work. Not wild about getting in front of it again before 10 o'clock. Right, this is starting to unload. Again, the idea was if we can close above this, but if we're accumulating and still pushing lower from here, then it means that we're not that interested in this flipping, which I thought was the idea of the trade as well. So we'll see where this goes. Oh yeah. Yes, now finally letting go. All-time highs PA is all kinds of fun. And you're seeing the results of VIX as well, right? So even 3 weeks to a month ago, going long here at 78, that didn't even give us 10 points. With this volatility, getting that is not... it's almost that you have to be in at the bottom to be able to make a decent scalp out of it, or you just trade completely with the trend, which we should be doing anyways, but in reality, trading with the trend for me, our hourly just closed underneath, by the way. Trading with the trend for me was this. Get rid of all this. So retesting that. This is very, very violent. I certainly underestimated this this collapse from there. It wasn't until I saw just the selling pressure of what was going on here in the 80s that that kind of threw that out of the mix. So we'll wait for a flip, we'll wait for something. Can't deal with any of this. Violently to the downside, and no real buying in sight so far. A little bit here, in fairness. A little bit there. But thrashing these lows. So wait for a clean setup now. Storm outside. First valid low since this pullback. I think the response will be interesting. If the response is more bullish PA. Sorry, I should have actually waited for that to confirm before saying that. It is now. Sideways candle, we likely rally a little bit. After taking everything down here. 15 is looking yuck. And that actually did send us down quite a bit from this morning as well, which was nice, but I thought that hourly area was going to provide a lot more than what it did. It's already randomly disabling live. You guys having issues? Yes. We'll be giving away some more direct-to-funded accounts later on. So we're going to watch until about 7:30. Sorry, 10:30. 10:30, 10:45. And then after that, I gotta drop my little one off really quick, and then I'll be back, and then we'll run it up with some giveaways. And that'll give us some time to make our bag before all the nonsense that I actually live for. Okay, so still remain bearish. If you make a valid low, it's got to actually achieve something, in which case this has got to break this. Otherwise, if you're going long in here, you're just risking off of a weak low, even though you've got a valid low. Right? So that doesn't make sense. We don't know how much lower it's going to go. Right? People will forecast all kinds of things. Maybe it's going to try and close this hour. Maybe it drips down to this area and then rallies. Who knows? I would expect more of a range here rather than death, because that's what the market's doing. Right? We'll also announce in the ETF channel when we're doing our giveaways too. Man, ES is going nowhere. Nowhere fast. Look how lethargic this is. NQ is just blasting. Oh, man, I do not like these conditions at all. Look at that 15-minute on ES. Barely CSDing. The hourly still has not. NQ is just dumping. Equivalently, that's the ES CSD there. There's the NQ one. Look how much weaker. We're actually 100 points weaker. Outrageous. Outrageous. No real money to be had on ES either. NQ is at least giving us something. Didn't hold my this short for nearly long enough, it looks like. No reason to get out, but wasn't anticipating more longs coming in here after London. Incorrect. This might lift now, finally. Be interesting to see what this does. If it jams up into this open and we get a strong reaction, then not that interested. Might get your first flip. Yuck. Oh, yuck. And I think everybody's going to be trying to pile in on the first big rally. And you've started to see a little bit of a personality shift too. Like there's a lot of buying going on in here. There's your 5, looking okay. There's your 15. Right, so you got five minutes left on that. Unless it wants to run this and just blast, but yeah, the CSD level's up here. So this movement essentially has got to flip. It's got to flip above 41. And it's trying. This will be a very important candle. This will be a very important candle. You got a little bit of SMT as well, but I mean, that's been the entire morning. I think it's starting to be risk on a bit for shorts, at least for a pullback. That's a really good response. Boom. Now, major area of interest. Major area of interest. Right? And this is essentially how we expect major manipulation to happen. Violent. But did it achieve anything? No. No, it did not. Violent. Did it achieve anything? We're inside of a range of this. This is your range. Not this. Right? Not this. This is your current bullish leg, which just got snapped, facilitating a pullback. Cool. This is your range. But more importantly, okay, this analysis has got to lead to execution. Multiple attempts to reverse in the trend. Didn't like it, or at least didn't make any money on that. Starting to get your wedge failure. So how do you get involved with all that analysis? ES very, very strong, NQ extremely weak. How do you get involved? Right there. Spike, death. Spike, death. Right? Accumulation. Spike. Wait a sec. Wait a sec. That's not the same. And now we've potentially flipped. True, we haven't taken this high. And that's important as well. And you're getting like that high being 44, that closed at 44, right? Inside candles. I still do think we rally. Morning, Tigo. Do I use fib retracement? Yeah. Yeah, I use it from the energy of the move. So if we were looking for, say, a pullback, we weren't expansionary, or at least inside of a range, then I would measure something like, okay, whereabouts is this going to rally to? Like if we're looking at that, okay. And I was expecting lower, then that would make sense, right? Or say I was, oops, not like that. So I was expecting to come back in and then short back down. You might look at this, and then the fib aligns with that as well. What I mainly use is the 50% level, but we can't be inside of a range, or else you've got to be very, very on with your excuse me. You got to be on with your multi-time frame analysis. Jesus, right? Because if you're looking at it, you're looking at that, and that's wrong, right? We've got expansionary price movement. This should respect the midpoint, not come back into here, right? So that respects the midpoint, drives higher. That respects the midpoint, drives higher. Do we have a double top? No. Do we have a double top here? No. Yes. So now we're not looking at this coming back in because that's an unconfirmed move. How is S&P? Oh, SMT you're meaning? I don't know what S&P is. SMT is essentially like one of the cornerstones we look for is we expect A to happen and we get B. And that's kind of a huge blanket thing because if, that's like a huge narrative thing, right? Where we're expecting any rally to be sold into hard. Why? Because markets have inertia, and that's what happened here, here, right? Here, anywhere in here, all selling pressure. That tried selling off here and it closed above. That's a very, very different thing because, right? Because you expect this to happen and that happens. Very, very different, right? And that goes for everything, really, because you don't get different results from doing the same actions over and over and over again. Sure, you might have different probabilities, but over time, and you guys notice this with your trading accounts, you got to do something differently, right? So that's different. If ES is trading down like this and NQ is trading down like this, that's very, very weird, right? There's supposed to be correlation. There's supposed to be correlation. So if they're not, and ES is still being held up, that means that they're essentially buying the hell out of ES, and then this ends up being weak. Or not necessarily weak, but overextended. NQ should be trading up in here. ES equivalently is up here right now. Right? So one of them's wrong. One of them they're accumulating the hell out of. For this move, am I expecting 50% retracement? I want to see what happens with this low. Right? This area here of this high at 41, very, very important level. I think the ES should run that high out. Right? We stabbed up. We've now respected this. So I expect NQ to rally up as well. We're getting 15-minute failure. Good. So barring this coming up, we're heading higher. So I don't expect this to trade underneath that and then go. No, I don't. I think that we closed above. This functioned as the pullback back in. And if this was going to be violent, then we would have traded underneath here and closed, and then we would have headed for the lows. We did not. So instead, this is going to run this high. Assuming we get a closure. I don't really like how this is doing all of this fun stuff. But assuming we get a closure, then we tap back into this. And then we continue higher. Right? I would like to see it, and this being a valid low here. Sorry, that was that one there. Right? Jamming up into this, we ended up getting that failure. We've actually broken structure as well on the lower time frame. This was a protected high. So we broke structure, we barely tap back in. That's lifting. Ideally, we want a closure above here. You might get something like this, or some sort of lethargic movement, which would be ideal as they continue to accumulate. The problem is that NQ might be short-lived when ES runs this out. Yeah, and you don't necessarily know which one is wrong, but you compare it with, I don't know why I'm yawning so much today, boys. You compare it with what's going on the chart. So if you're trading lower, what are you expecting? Right? If you're trading lower and you've got lethargic movement, you're looking for longs. So you're looking for one of them to sweep it out. And then away you go. You don't necessarily care if ES sweeps it out and NQ doesn't. Or if NQ sweeps it out and ES doesn't. Right? Depending on what you do. Some people will trade the stronger asset, and that's fair. I stay on NQ myself. Watching, waiting, watching, waiting. First TP hit, nice trade picks. All right, so we're looking at this order block here, ideally at 54.75-ish. See if that gets respected or not. Very, very fast order flow. Woo! Blasting back down. Hey, Samir. You grab one too. Nice work, Ellis. Again, we broke structure. This is now a confirmed area of interest, but I'm a little bit concerned. The reason is because we're inside of this 15-minute, right? So we're sweeping, yes. I don't really like that imbalance for delivering, even though it's clear displacement. I would have wanted to see this candle close underneath for that. Instead, we're just getting this gross liquidity run. And we'll see where this ends up. Bit of a CSD, yes. Be a little surprised if it didn't head back to 54, but we'll see. Just missed your second target? Yeah, I was looking at this high because that was your 15-minute high. And now we flip. So essentially, 15-minute high, flip, looking to stab back in. We'll see if this area respects. This was a huge, huge accumulation. If this area respects, then we continue lower. We did break structure, so there's a bit of a... I can understand both sides, right? This stabbing into this area of interest to then run higher. This 15-minute failure and CSD. I can understand lower as well, so I'm kind of sitting on my hands here. Hey, Replica, what's going on? I think somebody is going to get messed up here. I'm leading short from that flip. Yeah, it was a beautiful push and we broke structure, but that 50-minute high taken and then I think this is just gonna, this might just dump. Yuck, that was a second attempt there. Didn't really get anything. Still don't think the bulls are out of the woods. I think this low goes. Right, we got our bullish sweep in there. Looking for 30, 50, and then at least beyond a 28. And even if it's going to fail and then run, which I think is lower priority or probability because of that 15-minute displacement down. There goes your low. Yeah, I do. I do the 15-minute high in a CSD. I put a little bit more preference on that than 1 minute structure for this exact reason. But then you need an entry model, and that entry model to me was that sweep of that bullish candle, and then this goes red or green to red. So we got that low. This is a really good spot to take some off just in case the low doesn't get hit. And then you see if this is just going to let go and fly, which I kind of expected to. Now that it's starting to displace lower. We'll see where this closes, but very climactic. And now we see what goes on. Nasty business any way you slice it, even if it's going to come back up to this area and then dump. Wild how we left the lows inside of this area of interest. There's your 15 right now. Let's get rid of that. Right? Nasty pop. Might take this this flat top, but it's still expecting those lows to go. Did anybody grab anything in there or no? I should be doing this with some live executions potentially. Maximum longs now. I like this area, right? Confirmed structural break. I don't like that it failed to make a 15-minute valid low, so I'm looking to see if this low is going to go at 900. Right? Definitely some support here for sure. Origin of the move. Right? I'm not sitting in anything. There goes that flat top. So this would be a valid idea, assuming we get a decent hold up here, because it stabbed into this accumulation and assuming we fail to make a valid low. We got 4 seconds. If it closes above here, then it's no trade. Okay. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a long. This very well could fly. I did not hit it long at all. Your CSD spot's all the way up here. And we'll see what goes on with this. But it very well looks like it might not be a trade for me either way. I can't justify going long up here for the rally. Right? If you get a CSD, you might get a trade back in. But this just looks like it's running everybody out momentum-wise. Which is not my style of trading. Three. 3. We'll be giving away 3 of them. Getting some GGs in the chat. We're getting GGs for. You guys think you guys are hoping for the rally? Yeah, I mean, you're hard pressed, but this has got to achieve something. As it stands right now, all we've failed to do right now is a 15-minute valid low. We're inside of a range. That's the caveat for any sort of structural interests. Really good response, obviously. Just don't like it. If you're trading based off of areas of interest, then that long would have been beautiful. I think that short would have been beautiful as well. I don't know. I really don't like this. I thought that was a valid attempt to sell off, and then you just get this smack. So whether or not they're getting more orders at 950, but this has got to close above this high at 949.75. Otherwise, we are not in good sitting. Can't do it, lads. Oh. One last attempt. Maybe. We're going to find out very, very quickly. 10:30. The 10:25 potential reversal. Creating an inversion. But it's got a CSD. It looks like it might want to now. Finally. There she goes. Oh, I think they just exchanged all their positions in here. I would be shocked if we didn't stab back into this. The question remains if we run this up and then we stab back into it and then we go. That will be pretty. Unmitigated origin, same idea as this. This will be interesting. Right? But the big thing is that we closed above this now. So you can anticipate, cool, right? And now we should take this high at 17.5. We're still looking at this 15-minute high. I think that after that failed, that this candle is going to be a large range. We'll probably run this one as well at 68. Be hard pressed otherwise, I think. No, without some shenanigans, looks like. I'm not going to go long here for the last 5-10 points. I think that's foolishness. I think coming back down into the 40s would be what I'd like. But that's not to suggest that this isn't a high priority for or high probability for a movement up. Just not longing for confirmation. Sideways. ES still is not taking the objective. That's important. You want them lifting each other up when you're long. Ideally. Whoop. Okay. Can understand that. ES ran it. Do we get our pullback or do we just blast from here? Woo! No, I shorted this. I was expecting that low to go. I was expecting that low to go. 15-minute failure with a flip. CSD trades back in. Sweep and fail. Right, I took some off underneath this low. And then this just chopped. Chop, chop, chop. Just really did not like how ES was doing. ES obviously with a huge flip. Above all this, trades back in. Right back to the origin. Cool. Leaves. We're now getting our rally. You've got a lot. Your next structural zone is all the way up here. Right? So it's just kind of like what we were talking about earlier. If you're an expansionary price movement, you might not necessarily know it at the time, as in this case. right? We didn't get a CSD, or at least it was obviously expansionary because it didn't trade back down into this cool, or at least a range. But my point is that whether you're able to trade it or not, like this to me was, I needed that flip. Instead, they made it a accumulation. Didn't get involved. I think that this was a valid long in there. And then you run that high out. But again, the failure to CSD. Have I taken long trades? Yes. Yes. There was a long here. That one obviously worked out quite nicely. I took a long here, and I also got stopped out. I think I ended up taking a small loss on that one, but still. This is technically considered a little bit of an SNDR. I think we're mainly looking at how strong this candle is. We haven't achieved our zone from earlier. I'll be a little shocked if we got a closure underneath this candle at 56. Took the freedom short to the low. Holy crap. You held through all of this? Good for you. I did not hold it that long. I released a new model for our group over the weekend, and some of them are flying with it. I think this week there were it got us. It was successful on Monday, successful today. There was no trade yesterday, and I could understand if people took it on Tuesday, but it didn't work on Tuesday. So all in all, quite happy with its progress today. I think it's made about. Today I got 40 points on it, running in here to those lows. But yeah, it's working out well. It's more of a one and done type model for those that want to be at the charts for less than 15 minutes on the day and then just walk. It was actually designed for the wife. With some really interesting data. I would encourage all you guys to look at NQ Stats' data. Some really interesting stuff on there. This is still chopping around. We'll see if we get our pullback back down to this area. I'm more looking at this that coincides with this. Right, so SNDR, lower, accumulation. Here we are. Oh, I think I have a visitor.
but now any bird, some money, now it's not itchy anymore. I think Skato struck my bluff from my back. Then when he fly away, I get really itchy, and then I think it's called heat rash.
Check her neck. The back of her neck.
Is it itchy and sore?
I know. A little bit. I'm just feeling a little bit sick because I've been too much ice and that before I spring top. Well,
That'll be up in a second. We'll look what's going on, okay?
okay.
Keep it.
I
I love you too. Take the bails.
Hey, Ro.
All right. Still going, eh? Sweeping, failing. Again, shocked that if we were closed underneath that without trading into this, but here we are. Did anybody just grab that long? Sorry, somebody has. It's been 36 to 38 above. Could we be looking for the second delivery short? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. This is my concern. Right? So I would have loved if we would have gotten held up here, and that was the cause of my first long that came in. Right? This is the second one. This is the second idea. So sweeping and failing underneath this. We got 10 minutes left on this hourly. Ideally that hourly stays whereabouts it is. And then, in which case, I'm not looking for this short, even though you might get a nice movement out of it, which would then run up, I think. Because we've got to actually achieve something with this sell pressure. It looks ominous. That's disgusting, right? At least if you're long in here, it's disgusting. If you're short, you're obviously quite happy with that. But this being a credible top only exists if we close underneath the delivery that led us up to it. Didn't get it. And here we go again. Hey, Wafa. That was a nice closure there. I think it's a little bit surprising getting closures underneath these candles. Again, our CSD level is down here at 64, but we're looking at if it respects here, then that's price telling us it might need to pull back a little bit more. Still sitting on my hands. Not exactly inspiring from the bearish side, is it? And lift. Yes, so our job is to be patient, isn't it? Our job is to be patient. Right? So let's say hypothetically you were like, I've got to make a trade in this. I've got to. And this is gross. We should be looking to short. This, that, or the other. Who knows? Right? let's say you're just extremely short biased because you're looking at the 15-minute time frame and you're thinking this is a rally. We're obviously bearish. We flipped on the 15. Anything that moves, I'm just looking to ride it to zero. Hypothetically, right? Your model has to be, for a high probability, in my opinion. We were bullish. We're now bearish. Right? If you're shorting in bullish structure, you might make a little bit of money. But man, that is a hard life. Believe me, I've been there. I've been there. Is it not far easier to wait and not try and short this and, oh, I just took a break even, or maybe I'm panic hovering in here. Okay, shorting it here again. Okay, stopped out. Shorting it here again, made a little bit of money, and then it ended up running that high. Shorting in here, yes, thank goodness. Or flip, short, profit. Done. Right? And then, okay, it failed here, fine. That's why you take runners. Right? Same sort of thing. So we're bullish. Do we flip bearish in here? No. Right? Or at least in here, if you did take that, I think that would have been fairly valid. Then you'll probably break even when it starts sweeping underneath. Or at least you should be. And then there's no short trigger in here. You've got to get a flip. Trade back in. Leave. Barring that, guess where we're going? Higher. Higher, higher, higher. We don't have to like how it delivers, but you've got to have very, very clear rule sets in order to get involved. Now we're trading up to a structural area of interest. We are bullish. We flipped structure as of that high, actually. Right? So that was a valid pullback. We then flipped structure, traded back in, left. Fair enough. Didn't really like it because of that 15-minute as I talked about, but we'll see what goes on here. What's the 5 telling us? That was a decent valid high. Or sorry, valid low, valid high. We've now created, we got internal movement going on. Cool. Just shy of our area of interest, is it? Yeah, just shy. That is a flip, in fairness. Back down to our last structural area of interest. Mm-hmm. $13 seconds on this candle. Do we trade above 80 and what do we close bearish? Bearish close. A couple of consecutive ones. Be a little bit surprised if we didn't trade above 80 here, but we'll see. We'll see how eager they are. Fairly gross how they didn't trade into that zone. But we'll see where this goes. Yep. Not a lot that I like out of this at all, if I'm entirely honest. back down all the way down to here. Actually, that isn't a structural area of interest. What am I talking about? We don't have anything structural in this at all. It will be this zone here, and likely this SMDR that we were looking at from earlier. This closed above on yours? Would I be looking for longs in this area? This one here? Yes. Yes, I would. Yes, I would. Barring it just knifing through there. And then even if we're wrong, that should trade back up into this. Taking liquidity, but not quite in our area of interest yet. And no buying really coming in. So it'll be interesting to see if this ends up being a liquidity sweep, but I'm not involved in this just yet. Might get a little bit of relief. It's a zone on Ninja Trader. Yeah, I suppose this did close above, like that's 978, that's 78.5. So technically it did close above this. ES still chopping around, man. ES was not fun to trade this morning for anybody that's actually trading ES. I can understand the short, I just really don't like how it didn't trade into this. We have to respect the chart now flipping for sure. Right, that open being 72, we still haven't traded into it, 69. Well, they are just throwing around. This is your 11 a.m. candle as well. So you got a new hourly coming in hot. Right? Nice little 15-minute. Highly unlikely that we do make a credible low on the 15. But we're inside of this giant range. Yeah, I'm not looking at it either. Even though that did technically close above that and this. If anything, I think being a flip, we're looking at it facilitating a movement back down into here. Nasty. Here we are. I didn't even get involved in this sweep. I think that sideways is good. I wanted this area and didn't really get our 15-minute low. Right? Sure, swept the 5. Cool. Which would have been this candle technically. So still kind of looking to see if this fractal here sells off underneath and then we actually get our dump into this. But not really interested in shorting against this so far either. Play dumb, follow price. I think valid high internally should run all of this as well. Very, very important closure there. Oh, this is going to be dirty if they run it. I think they're going to. Buy a tick. Yep, buy a tick. But the tick is enough sometimes. We'll see where the next couple of candles go, and then I'm going to run away. And then when we come back, we'll run it up and we'll give away some stuff. I'm shocked that they're not running it down. This has been dirty all morning, unless you've been you got the shorts straight away. Yuck. Oh, they're gonna get somebody, boys. Not gonna be me. Still sitting and waiting. I think, if anything, I would be. If anything, I would be short in this for this movement down from the flip and then this, but still bullish structure. Waiting for longs here, I think, is the better play. Just not much that I like. Not much that I like. All right, I'm gonna run upstairs and see how the little one's doing and all that stuff. When we come back, we'll run it up and we'll give away some accounts. I'll let you guys know in both Discords, and you guys will see us hop on live. All right, you guys trade safe. We'll see you guys in a little while.